This tropical land is on the isthmus that joins North to South America. It is bounded by the Caribbean Sea to the east and the Pacific Ocean to the west, Nicaragua in the north and Panama to the south. Roughly the size of Wales, it is a small country with a great big heart, named by the sailors of old as the Rich Coast. It is Costa Rica. Tourists come from around the world for the natural history, the eco-landscapes, and to walk the virgin rainforest. Rustic lodges are in the forest with the wildlife all around the accommodation. Birders were up at first light with cameras at the ready. Groups have expert naturalists to lead treks through the Manuel Antonio National Park, named after a Spanish conquistador. It is flanked by the Pacific Ocean and forested hills. Being 6 square miles, it is the smallest of Costa Rica's national parks and has a remarkable biodiversity with wildlife and magnificent beaches. Coatis was seen briefly, as were the sloth. Of birds, there was little sign. This is one of the most visited parks in the nation, and although there is a limit on daily numbers of visitors, its wildlife is threatened by overuse, pollution, and unregulated hotel expansion. Iguanas thrive readily in Costa Rica and can be seen either sunning or scampering in the undergrowth looking for a snack. These are the black clenosaur variety and have no natural enemies except the most dangerous predator of all, man. The lowland rainforests of Carrara on the Pacific coast is considered to be one of the finest birdwatching sites in Costa Rica, with the scarlet macaw the ultimate prize. It was heard high in the tree canopy, with only the briefest of flashes of colour. Habitat loss and man are the main enemies, and it remains in the at-risk category. The ecosystems are being stretched and the wildlife is disappearing at an alarming rate. Soon the eco-tourists will stop coming and the guidebooks will need rewriting. An aerial tram ride was a good way to have a different view of the rainforest. Panoramic vistas were to be had, running high over the trees, gliding silently in our 8-seater tram. A rainforest expert accompanied the trip, pointing out various trees and plants as we skimmed over the treetops in comfort. Costa Rica has 2 high ridges that run roughly from north to south. The ridge above the Caribbean is volcanic, and the other ridge over the Pacific is being pushed up by the American continental tectonic plate. Indiscriminate hunting during the last 400 years has resulted in the decimation of the American crocodile. The Rio Torcolis is the best site to view crocodiles, where substantial numbers are said to be found. A riverboat glides slowly along the river on its way to the Pacific Ocean. Waterbirds watch as we pass by, and the boatman cautioned us to keep our hands away from the side, as the 16-foot long crocodiles can come within a few yards of the boat to check us out. Swirls in the water were probably crocodiles all around us, and the boat didn't feel so big anymore. On a sandbank were the crocodiles we had come to see, looking like immobile logs, basking in the warm sunshine. The lush surroundings of our third hotel extended to 35 acres along the banks of the San Carlos River. We may be eco-tourists, but we were not going to live rough here, just to enjoy 7 days of luxury in the warm January sunshine. The restaurant had archways to the gardens, and the waiters would hang bananas and slices of melon on the trees outside. Then it was showtime, as we sat entranced by the birds, covering the trees with every variety and every bright hue imaginable. Food was forgotten as we reached for our cameras to capture the magical moments. North of the San Carlos Valley is an active volcano that dominates the landscape, named El Arenal, and we were to get to know the area very well, as most of the nature treks were on her lower slopes. A sky tram took us high above the rainforest to the Cayora lookout point. The volcano was in a good mood, with only the summit cone in cloud. Should you wonder what some of our companions got up to, it's called the fast way down by a series of zip wires. Septuagenarians and octogenarians flew over the canopy 200 feet up. The less brave or foolhardy amongst us slunk back to the sky tram, opting for a safer ride, if somewhat slower. Iguanas are everywhere where they can catch some sunlight. These are the black species, but they are coloured orange because they are sexually active. The sexes are difficult to tell apart, but presumably they know the difference. They look like dinosaurs in miniature with their scaly skin, long tail, and a pointed comb down the spine. Some are ground-dwelling, but these are arboreal and live high in the trees. It can be unnerving when walking along a path and a flash of orange catches your eye. It's a big iguana asleep on a branch. They are adept climbers and never fall off, say the experts. It was time to get a closer look at the El Arenal volcano by following the lava trails from the 1968 eruption. The trail wound ever upwards, with steeper sections to the summit of the track. Vistas opened up below us, and we had time for our heart rate to return to normal. No one now goes any higher than here. It's just too dangerous, and fatalities have occurred. To the indigenous people, it was a revered holy site. Now it just steams quietly away for the moment. A series of suspension bridges were built to allow access to the forest ranges on the lower forested slopes of the El Arenal volcano. With a little upgrading to the structures, this made them suitable for visitors to get a bird's eye view of remote areas of the rainforest, bouncing and swinging in an alarming fashion. The acrobatic chestnut-mandibled toucan was also seen high in the trees. Up to the very north of Costa Rica is the border with Nicaragua and the fabulous Cano Negro Wildlife Refuge. It is a freshwater lagoon, only accessed by boat. There is just so much to see in the mangroves that line the lagoon, and the hours just flew by. Howler monkeys were feeding amid the flower-strewn trees above us. Birds were everywhere in the trees. And waders were looking for a meal, standing or lazily floating in the sun-warmed, sparkling water. Some birds we were able to recognise, and with the help of our guide, various other species were spotted. Not only monkeys and birds were here, but other beings called this place home. Freshwater turtles were resting a while, but the strangest sight of all were the pipistrelle bats roosting on a tree trunk by the water. It was definitely our best trip, and we will never forget the wonders of the magic land that is Costa Rica.